Hi, my name is Jason Bunn-Parsons. I'm the director of the Autism Ambassadors Corps, and we're continuing in our series, Getting Autistics Aspies Jobs and Public Assistance. I try to use the terms autistic Aspies, interchangeably. Some people get really bent out of shape if you call them autistic. When they're, when they're higher functioning, they want to be called Aspie. When it comes right down to it, the more bent out of shape you get over your label, the worse off you're going to get, and so, anyway, so part one was the impact of autism Asperger's perceptions on the autistic Aspie employment. Okay, part two was the impact of U.S. social services on autistic Aspie employment, and I intended to do Voc-Rehab, and I barely touched on it, and so I was really unhappy how little I actually talked on it. So that's why this is 2.1. Okay, talking specifically about Voc-Rehab. Okay, and then parts 3 and 4, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of autistic Aspies in relationship to employment. We actually did that before part 2. Reason being is, after I did part 1, a lot of people, wanted this to be done first because they weren't really interested in changing the system. They just wanted to know how to get jobs. So to accommodate them, I went ahead and did parts 3 and 4 before I did part 2. Then I did part 2 and still ran out of time. So anyways, so parts 3 and 4 is already online, has already been done. Okay. And then part 5, the good, the bad, and the ugly of autistic Aspie employment and volunteer experience. And one of the reasons why I include volunteer experiences is that it's is that volunteering gives you an opportunity to try things you normally would not be given the opportunity to do, because your employer, they hire you for a specific thing, and that's what they want you to do. A volunteer organization, they'll let you try different things. Volunteering for churches and various ministries. Finding out that I'm actually, it's funny. When you look at my reading scores, they're really low, and yet I taught some English to refugees. And who would have thought that? But anyways, so that's the reason why I include volunteer experiences, because these volunteer experiences can show you strengths that might be able to translate into an actual job skill, into an actual employment. So that's one of the reasons why I include volunteerism. Okay, and I'm wanting that to be done by anybody who has who has job experience or volunteer experiences, in order to discuss what our experiences have been, and figure out what's worked, what hasn't, and basically learn from each other. Okay, and then +1, autistic and Aspie social skills. This is a standalone. Okay, social skills applies to everything. Period. And so, yes, it's very relevant to the subject of employment, but it's also relevant to everything else. So instead of doing, a separate presentation for every single series I do, I'm just going to do one single series, and that everybody can refer to, to address autistic Aspie social skills. Okay, and that will probably be the next series I'll be starting in October. Is when I'll probably be starting that. Okay, and so I need to quickly go over some stuff for people who weren't here the previous meeting. But one of the reasons why we keep going over is because I keep have to keep repeating information I gave the previous time. Okay, and so for right now, I'm not going to take any questions or comments. I'm simply going to refer you back to the videos in which I actually discuss these. And impact of social services on autistic Aspie employment, that was the first video. So part 1, understanding the system. Okay, the necessity for an effective system to enable mutual cooperation. Many autistic Aspies have a deep hostility towards the system, the status quo, proper protocols, etc., due to their extreme difficulty in fitting in. However, systems are not inherently bad. The problem is that many of them lack the proper balance between firmness and flexibility. If a system is not firm enough, then it does not enable individuals with inherently incompatible needs and wants to cooperate with each other so everyone can have their needs and wants met. Okay, that's the reason why we need systems. Okay, and you know, the problem is, some of them are so rigid. Okay, however, if it's not flexible enough, it will undermine the ability of individuals to function in a manner that is most effective for them. Such individuals will be doomed to fail in areas they would otherwise succeed in if they were able to do things the way that works for them. Okay, so there has to be this proper balance of, yes, we need to have this structure in order that we can cooperate with each other, but it can't be so rigid so where you're trying to turn everybody into clones. It doesn't work. Okay, you need to be flexible. The system that is set up to meet the social services needs of the United States has openings that allow private organizations to be part of the system. And this is going to be particularly relevant to what we're talking today. The autistic community needs to recognize that these openings do exist so that we can create our own subsystem within the greater system that will be more effective in meeting our needs. And one of the things, in Voc-Rehab, they subcontract out, their services to different companies. Okay, we need to be one of these companies that they subcontract out to. Okay, that's what we need to set up for ourselves. Okay, and it is not going to be a one-person project. Okay, people are going to have to buy in. If people will rally behind me, we can then go together, to those who have the expertise in order to make the business happen. Because I heard back in the mid-90s, the number one that the businesses that are most likely to go bankrupt are restaurants, because they're started by these people. Oh, I'm a good cook, so of course I can succeed. No, you also need to know how to make a profit. Okay, and having dealt with the system, I know what needs to be the system. I can cook up a recipe, but I need to do it in a way that allows me to pay the bills in order to keep the business going. Okay, and that's where I need the expertise of those who know how to run a business to help us, start this. And okay, less levels of autistic preparedness needed for autistic employability. Now, I'm putting this in because I got, attacked on Facebook by this parent who asked me, well, what do we do for, in her own terms, less exalted autistics? Okay, that was the term, because, okay, yes, I'm a higher functioning autistic, okay, and a lot of this stuff, I acknowledge, and so let me explain my intent, okay, with what I'm presenting, okay, is that there are levels, right? One is none. Okay, there are autistics that I know personally who achieve vocational success without an autism diagnosis. Number one on that list is Sue Golubach, a now retired occupational therapist, okay, who did not get diagnosed until she was 50. Okay, she was a successful occupational therapist. I believe Tara told me for something like 20 to 25 years before she got diagnosed. Why? Because she picked the right job in the first place. Okay, there's another lady that attends the Tempe group. Okay, she was in the Air Force for I believe 16 years. Okay, as a mechanic, and she left honorably. Okay, yeah, used her college funds to get a teaching degree, and she's now, if I remember right, she's been teaching now for 16 years. Okay, without a diagnosis.
Your cousin David talked
Yeah, okay.
She's a registered nurse, been working for years in charge of an ER.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so there are these autistics out there, okay? And so when you're talking about, okay, oh, we need all these special accommodations, we need this, we need that, money, 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 well, maybe not. For some, maybe so. But for others, maybe not. Okay, level 2 is a holistic understanding of autism, okay? And basically, what that means is not just, you know, focusing on our struggles, but also focusing on our strengths, okay? You know, and then third, restoration of the autistics' shattered self-confidence resulting from them believing that there is no hope that they can obtain the self-improvement necessary for employment. Okay, and neither Sam or Aaron is here today. No, they're volunteers at AZ Assist with the youth group, and they can tell you firsthand how absolutely destroyed the self-confidence of these autistics are. And not only do these autistics not believe in them, but their parents don't believe in them either. Okay? And why? Well, look at what's being said about us. All the information that's being said about us teaches us to not believe in ourselves. Okay? And you can say all you want, oh, that's not our intentions. Well, it doesn't matter whether you're intending to do that. That is the message that the autistic community is receiving. And I've been part of, I started with the Tempe support group back in 2009. Okay, and I assure you, the lesson that they have learned from the stuff that they're learning from the authorities, the leading authorities, is how hopeless and defective that they are. Yeah. Okay, even though there are examples of autistics, half a dozen of them at the Tempe group at various times who have had, you know, at least 10 years of vocational success in a vocation, okay, prior to them getting diagnosed with autism. Okay, it is possible for some. Now, on to level 4, there are some who need, you know, support because of the extent of their disability may be more limiting in their employment options. And then 5, you know, some so severely disabled that they are unemployable. You know, and a while back I went to this one autism organization, and they had this adult program, and they definitely had, you know, individuals who were definitely on the lower end, of functionality, and basically, you know, that they were sitting at a table, you know, kneading beads together to make jewelry, you know, which they would sell, and they were socializing, you know, with the staff members that were there, you know, and it was a very pleasant environment for them. Okay, and I'm happy for them, you know, that they have that kind of environment. But that environment's not for me. I should not be trained to work in that environment. Okay, because I'm capable of far more. And so my focus is on the upper level, okay? Liberating autistics aspies from public assistance, okay? The autistics aspies that my plan targets are those who not only can get off public assistance, but who want to obtain complete financial independence, including myself, okay? My plan does not require money, but for autistics aspies to be allowed to have a say in what potential employers are told about them, okay? What it does require is for those who have succeeded without a diagnosis and or special accommodations to be given the stage so they can explain to those who are at a similar level of functionality how they did it. That is the problem. These people are not the ones who are the autism employment experts. Okay, the autism employment experts are non-autistics who have these assumptions about us. Okay, those are the experts. Okay, the people who have the most successful autistics in this area are not given the stage to explain how they did it. Okay. You know, once these individuals who can be liberated from public assistance and or special accommodations are are liberated, the money that is being spent on them for those purposes can be diverted to those who are more severely affected. So it's not that I don't care about those who are more severely affected. My position is money is being wasted on me and others who are higher functioning, less severely affected, okay, by assuming, by keeping us chained to these services that we shouldn't need, but we only need because society assumes that we can't live without them. If we got off these services, this money can then be freed up to help out those people who need it the most, and that's my goal. And so right now I figure that I'm probably receiving about $20,000 a year in public assistance. That's SSDI, subsidized housing, food stamps, Medicaid, and the whole shebang. Okay, about $20,000 a year, times 10,000 individuals who can and want to be liberated from public assistance equals $200 million in taxpayer savings. Okay, and so and when it comes right down to when I consider all the things, the low budget and no budget solutions I believe that can be implemented to help autistics, I believe it could be much closer to $1 billion a year in taxpayer savings. Excuse me for a second.
I need you to print that out, because I need that.
Yeah.
Can I interject with a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You keep, and this is really important,
Yeah.
I agree, bringing up that these are for people that want to get out of that situation.
Right.
There are a lot of autistics or Asperger's people, I feel like, that don't want to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
And I think secretly they want to get out of it, but they are afraid to put the security.
Okay, I can't do anything about that.
Well, why do they get like that, and how do you change
That's a lengthy subject.
That's like a
Yeah, and that's not limited to just autistics. Okay, in every community there are basically people. If you give them a get out jail free card, they're going to play it to.
I'm not talking about players that don't want to.
Yeah, but anyways, this is a lengthy discussion. But bottom line is, I'm not addressing those people right now. There's nothing I can do about somebody who doesn't want help. Okay, it's the first thing that I learned in codependency recovery. You can't fix somebody who doesn't want to be fixed. Okay, you just work on yourself. Okay, and you work together with other people who want to work on themselves. But somebody who does, there's nothing I can do about them. Okay, I just want to focus on the ones that I can do something about. So
It's sad that it's
yeah,
true.
that's
You can
Have you
take
ever
a
heard
horse
of,
to water, but you can't make that horse drink.
yeah.
Asperger's Experts, it's an online group, it's run by people that have Asperger's. They talk about defense mode, where people get into defense mode where they're like frozen.
Yeah, we know some.
Yeah. Well,
We're
but
talking about that.
yeah. But anyways, that's well, we can address those issues probably when we're talking about social skills. Okay, because that would tie in better with that. But anyways, so about a billion. An example is that that there's a lot of autistics who have trouble in school taking notes. Okay, and so what they do is they pay somebody, the taxpayers pay somebody to take their notes. Okay, well, my short, adventure trying to go back to school, I'm not going to get into the reason why that went belly up, but one thing that I was able to do is make an agreement with somebody. Okay, they take my notes, and then I use a flash card app, okay, to me basically, taking, just being a taker. What I was doing is is, okay, you do something, you do a favor for me, and I'll do a favor back. That is much better for somebody's personal dignity, okay? And so this is what I'm talking about, you know, everybody is so quick to figure out, okay, how can we spend money to fix this problem, when it should be like, okay, you know, what's the best way to deal with this problem, and does it actually require money? Does every problem require money? No, not every problem requires money. If we just get out of this mindset that no problem can be solved without money, we might actually start solving a lot of these issues and freeing up a lot of money for other purposes. Okay, so Jobs Accommodation Network, okay. Jobs Accommodation Compliance Series, employees with Asperger's syndrome, okay. Jobs Accommodation Network, JAN, is a service, of the Office of Disability Employment Policies for U.S. Department of Labor, and basically, you know, that they've written a handbook for providing accommodations to autistics, and I dealt with that in the last video, and you know, part 2, and so I'm not going to go into much detail. I might, you know, refer back to it later. Yeah, Renee wasn't here last month, so she might want to take a look at them. But anyways, okay, so on to vocational rehabilitation and job coaches. Now, when I first went for Voc-Rehab, I believe it was in 2014, either 2014 or 2015. Okay, it took a bloody long time for me to be seen. Their excuse was, oh, well, we just moved off, which they did, and it caused all kinds of problems. The thing is, everybody else is saying that it's taking a ridiculous, that it's taking them just as long.
They moved.
Yeah.
No supervisor for a while.
Yeah, and so, yeah, you know, and so, so they must be moving every week or something like that, because apparently everybody else is taking just as long, you know, to get their assistance. But anyways, you know, so basically, you know, I'd heard so many horror stories about Voc-Rehab, you know, at the Tempe group, and I wanted to find out, you know, whether or not Voc-Rehab had changed at all, okay? Because I know that Sue Golubuck had talked about how she and a friend of hers went and did a presentation for Voc-Rehab to try to train these counselors, and so, okay, did it have an impact? Okay, so so basically, I went there as a lab rat, okay, and when I went to orientation, you know, one of the things that they were talking about, the services that they're willing to provide, is helping you start your own business, providing you have a good business model, okay, and so that was when I first got this idea of starting our own organization. You know, and basically an autistic consulting, you know, firm, you know, with autistic experts like me. Tara, not sure about Sue because she is retired and taking care of her husband and stuff like that. So I would definitely offer her the position, but I'm 99.9% certain that she would turn it down because she just can't. Okay, but anyways, and so that's what, you know, what when I first, you know, showed up to Voc-Rehab, you know, that's, you know what my ideas were. Okay, so okay, so first of all is the assessment test that I was given. Okay, the only truly useful activity that I did with Voc-Rehab. Okay. And the reason that I say that is so many autistics, all they have is a label, okay? They don't really understand what that label means, okay? This is an assessment. This isn't just, you know, this is telling me my strengths and weaknesses in a lot of different areas, okay? Okay, my number one strength, verbal comprehension, okay, 93 percentile. In other words, my ability to understand what I'm being told meets or exceeds the ability of 93% of the population. okay, that is my number one strength, okay. Perceptual reasoning, okay, I guess that would be understanding what I'm seeing, okay, 77%, okay. Working memory, 50%, that actually shocked me, okay. Yeah, because working memory, has to do, with keeping, in your memory, what you're doing, like, a list of steps, you need to, these 5 steps in order, and stuff like that. That's what working memory is. And not only are autistics notoriously bad at it, but I am notoriously bad at it. I'm misplacing my keys, I misplace anything and everything that could possibly be misplaced.
Making a bed is a trauma.
I wouldn't say trauma, but so basically the explanation I would give for why I got such a high score is because basically it was done in a clinical setting. Okay, I'm going to give you these 4 numbers to memorize, okay? And then I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to ask you to repeat those numbers. Okay, so I just had to remember those numbers for a short amount of time, and it was a task. I was going to remember those numbers. Remembering those numbers was my number one priority. And so that's the reason why I think I scored 50%. If you scored me by any kind of a real world assessment, I might score like 15 to 20, or worse, okay. Processing speed, how fast I think, 14%. I think very, very slowly. Okay.
You thought very, very fast, but too much information was getting out there, so only a certain amount came through rationally or something. That's why.
There's
you talk fast and you think fast that I can see.
And so there's a lot of factors involved in neurology. That's one thing. Dr. Woodruff, he's a neurologist who got involved with our community for personal reasons, and so he helped me understand this. And I was wanting understanding neurology so simple I could explain it to anybody, and the simplest explanations are less than 100% accurate. Okay, the 100% accurate explanations are so far over my head, and so, trying to find that right balance between, accuracy and being able to understand what's, Anyways, full scale IQ, 108. By this is this puts me in the 70 percentile range, okay, which means 108 is way above average, which basically, if you go and do research on the IQ test, there are 5 or 6 different IQ tests. Most IQ tests, 100 is what would be 50%, okay? It's so basically, the FSIQ, okay, whatever that all means, okay, does things differently. 108 is way above average, by this scale. Okay, when I was tested in 3rd grade, I was tested at 140, okay, which was borderline genius. Okay, and so did I get dumber, or did they use a completely different testing methodology? And so when it comes to IQ tests, that you definitely take it with a grain of salt. You need to find out what scale they're using and find out what that actually means on that scale. Okay, because everybody uses different scales. Okay, letter word recognition. Okay, we're now on to academic achievement. Okay, letter word recognition, which in other words reading, 10.6. In other words, 10th grade, 6th month of 10th grade. Basically, I read like a 12-year-old. Okay. Calculations, which is math, 13.0. So that would be a high school graduate, somebody just starting their freshman year of college. Spelling, No, wait, 10.6 that isn't a 12-year-old. 6.2 for spelling, that is 12-year-old. Okay, and you don't notice it on here because that's the great thing about spelling and grammar checkers is they cover over a multitude of bad spelling and grammar. Okay, passage comprehension, my ability to understand what I'm reading, 12.5. Okay, which means somebody towards the end of their senior year of high school, basically, reason why I can understand a passage much higher than my ability to read is because reading for context. Okay, I don't know how to read this word. I just read around it and deduce what that word is and what that word means, by what's around it. Okay, and I'm pretty effective at it. Okay, writing samples, 12.6. So again, I write like a 12-year-old. Okay, which that's writing paper and pencil. No computer. He gave me a paper and pencil, and I had to write old school. Okay, and when I write old school, no spelling check, no grammar check. I write like a 12-year-old.
So do you brother. Hereditary.
And so this basically says who I am. This gives me an actual assessment of what I'm able, to do and not do. And so the kind of jobs that I want, you don't want I don't want to hire on for a job where I'm required to read a great big training manual. I'll never get through it. Okay, reading is too cumbersome for me. But if I have somebody that gives me oral directions, I'll pick it up. I'll absorb it like a sponge. That's how I learn. Okay, and so this is very relevant information. Now, although the psychologist who went over the results with me, I'm forbidden to have my own copy because it's considered property of DES. Now, the reason why I have one page of the report is because my first counselor who signed me up for this, she didn't read that little line, and so she was already printing it up. So she went ahead and let me keep this and had already highlighted, this one part here. Let's see here. Yeah, his actual scores are in the superior range within areas related to verbal comprehension and in the high average range in perceptual reasoning. A relative strength was also found in the areas related to okay, I don't have my glasses. Yeah, read the highlighted section.
Up here, he actually scored the superior range. The relative strength was found in areas related to verbal reasoning and comprehension. Want me to read more?
Yeah, read the entire highlight.
Working memory, that's all that's highlighted.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Working memory functions were found to be in the area of mild weakness for him. That's working memory functions.
Yeah.
Relative weakness in his ability to sustain cognitive focus. That's your ADD. This was consistent with his report that he has long experienced relative weakness in areas related to executive functioning.
Yeah.
Disorganized executive.
So anyways, yeah, you can thank Dr. Woodruff for making sure I understand all that terminology. Yeah. But anyway, so basically, DES, I'm not supposed to have a copy of this because this is DES property, okay, which is absolutely ludicrous because that the test itself probably, I think, was like 3 or 4 hours, okay? How much money does a psychologist charge for 3 to 4 hours of one-on-one service? And then how much he's going to charge to then grade it, assess it, and write a report. Probably,
$700-800.
Yeah, a lot of money. Yeah. And it became a one and done document. okay, and it was basically, to determine whether or not I have the capacity
Did
to.
Voc-Rehab give you?
Yeah, yes, this was done through Voc-Rehab, and so,
Request.
I'm being
So-
told to request one by the lawyer that I've contacted to try to find. They said that I need to get a jobs assessment done.
yeah.
It's called a jobs assessment?
What's it called?
Well, it just says psychological evaluation. Yeah, I don't have page 1. I have page
I'm not sure if it's the same thing.
page 5. But anyways,
You called it an
It's a
assessment
request.
before.
yeah.
Request. What, the worst they can do is
Right.
say no?
So
I would be, if I had one, I would be careful. If you're getting it through VR, if you're getting it like to get VR services, that may be something else. But everyone doesn't. I'm sort of like suspicious of like standardized tests because it basically depends on who's interpreting it.
That's right.
Because like the person I went to was like, oh, once you, especially if you guys are talking about like suicide things, like, I mean, you have to be truthful, but it's like that's like,
yeah.
You mean you might trigger some unforeseen?
well, they like they're
Yeah.
just like, okay, you're depressed, like that's all like it like it's
Yeah.
they put a lot of focus on that because like
because then they start
Yeah.
focusing on something else.
On a symptom instead of.
yeah, and it's like well,
And
this,
to
and
say historical.
Oh, okay.
Historically,
okay.
I've been depressed, not
Oh,
now.
yeah. Okay. This system is specifically to assess your job. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
that's
issues
job.
as related to job. Okay.
Not
And no, they are contracted by Voc-Rehab, to do Voc-Rehab's bidding, okay? And so he is going to provide information that is relevant to Voc-Rehab, okay?
not necessarily. I mean, like I said, it depends on
Well-
who you.
Well, okay, you've taken other assessment tests given by other people for other reasons.
No, I haven't. It was the
Yeah.
same thing. It's
Yeah,
like nothing about
was it through Voc-Rehab?
Yes, it was. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you have to, and then again, we may not have had the document. And of course, I don't have that document because apparently I'm not mature enough to like handle or whatever. But
Well, actually, nobody's supposed to have this, and and I think that's so bogus because there's so much useful
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
not only for myself, but for my mom, for a potential employer, for my friends and relatives. This is valuable information,
right, yeah.
It's
and,
like they want to hide it.
and I don't, that the only reason I could possibly think of is that, if they gave it to somebody who is genuinely mentally disturbed, maybe they'll have some kind of psycho reaction, but,
Good stuff.
this should be, public, no, this is about me.
It's because it gives you information that they don't want you to have. It enables you to be a better self-advocate.
Yes.
So if you read something, you can. If your counselor saying one thing, you
They're-
can say,
they're trying to
well,
align
no,
I
because
mean,
I
I
get my
think
own.
they're trying to save themselves trouble, like they
Yeah.
don't want people to
Because that's weird. I mean, no
dispute
other.
things, and then they have to deal with people saying that's not true, you didn't do this right, or whatever, and I don't,
Yeah.
I could be family.
Well,
members
I would like to talk to the head of Voc-Rehab and get the official explanation.
Yeah.
They're wrong in not really, I believe they're wrong in not
Well, yeah,
completely wrong.
we need to know what the official explanation is,
Yeah.
and the only way we're going to get it is if we go together and demand. If I go by myself, I'm going to be blown up.
Yeah,
Okay, if we have a large enough group, okay, to draw the media's attention, okay, then we can, then we might get an appointment with the head of Voc-Rehab and get a actual explanation as to why we're not supposed to have this. Okay, so, anyways, all right. Okay, Voc-Rehab is completely closed-minded when it comes to the possibility that it could be used for far more than the single purpose that it was designated to fulfill, and I'll actually get into that a little bit later. Okay, in the first week of December of 2016, I was assigned my 4th counselor since starting the program in March. Okay, of that same year, and that tells you just how much turnover that there is. Okay, and and it comes down to okay, what's more important? Okay, a lot of it has to do, okay, that they have master's degree or they have bachelor's degrees on their way in the process of getting their master's degree. And okay, if I'm going to have a master's degree, I want to be paid X amount of money, okay, because that is the going rate for a master's degree. Okay, question is, who would better serve me? Somebody with a master's degree or somebody who takes the time to understand the individual that I am? Okay, quite frankly, I would, I would rather have an autistic, or a autistic volunteer who's going to stick with me, through the entire process, and rather than somebody that's going to quit on me within a month, it's so that's a major, that's my position. A lot of people disagree with me. I know somebody thinks, that they have a master's degree, they're omnipotent. They can't be wrong. You can't question.
Case manager has a master's degree, and I was not impressed with her at all. I just thought, you don't get this, you don't understand this. And she assured me that her nephew had autism and she got it and all this stuff, and I'm like,
but you can tell when they're not
One
getting
person is one person.
It's not specialized enough. They don't. It's like their master's degrees in autism studies. It's like a master's degree in probably like employment services and every single disability under the sun.
Yeah.
Anyone, and it's like you're not specialized enough where you would actually know. Like, okay, the person that I'm with, if someone comes in and got like in a wreck and they have a physical disability, if someone's like depressed, like, and it's, you can't be an expert in everything, but the way their system is set up, it's not specialized enough. So
it's not special,
yeah.
and they focus on a whole bunch of disabilities,
That's
not
right,
just
not
autism.
just Asperger's.
Right.
So,
But you've got a good idea of if somebody, a higher functioning SB, could be trained to do that, assessments and stuff, because you'd be able to see something.
Yeah. Well, as far as doing the assessments, okay, doing this, a psychologist should do this.
Right.
Okay. But as far as actually, okay, taking this and drawing up a strategy, based on this, as well as, and
through it.
yeah, and actually, I'll get, I'm going to go through, these different counselors that I had. Okay, none of them took the time, one, to go over my previous job history.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as if that they are all trained to assume that all autistics are low functioning and or just out of high school.
Yeah.
Okay, and two, took time to get input on employment-related issues from those who know me, such as my mom. I know she would have been more than willing to sit down, to talk to them and give them this information. They don't need it because they have their master's degree. Everything that they need to know, they learned in this book.
They put y'all in a box.
And
this is how they
they have a process they follow, and I just think that's...
right,
They don't individualize a care plan like in nursing. We have individual care plans for each and every patient. And we, as a team, there's a team. That's what you need, a team of people, a care plan or whatever I'm saying.
Well,
for nursing.
if one of these counselors were in here, they'd say, oh yes, that's exactly what we do. But the thing is, they're so closed-minded in how they construct
They
it.
won't let you go out of that box.
And so...
they got you pigeonholed in.
So anyways, okay, and so the autism community pyramid, these counselors are at the level of loved ones and other hands-on helpers, okay? As far as where they stand in the overall hierarchy of the autism community. Okay, the DSM Diagnostic and Statistical Manual gives the official diagnostic criteria for all mental health issues in the United States. The ICD, International Classification of Diseases, that provides all healthcare diagnosis for the entire world, okay, and except for mental health issues in the United States. That for some reason, the psychologists in the United States need to have their own private diagnostic criteria, separate from the rest of the world, okay? And so the insurance companies, okay, instead of using the medical health section, from the ICD and tearing out the mental health section and slapping the DSM, to be right in line with the other, basically they just use the ICD. So your psychologist, he's going to tell you your diagnosis based on the DSM, and then he or she is going to tell your insurance company your diagnosis based on the ICD. Okay, this makes sense to them, and so, but anyways, they're at the top of the pyramid, in dealing, and they do need to be dealt with. But as far as the people that really need to be dealt with is the yellow level, level for the elite educators textbooks and the JAN, which I showed earlier, because these are the ones that teach the teachers. Okay, you don't like what your teachers have been taught, okay, the teachers are just doing what they were taught, and the same with these counselors. And so Sue going in and trying to train these people, to tell them, to set aside what they learned in order to get this master's degree, and then they quit 2 months later. Okay, it's never going to work. Okay, Sue would need to keep doing her presentation about every 2 to 3 months, at all the DES offices, and it just isn't going to work. We need to go up the ladder. We need to be challenging, these elite educators, the people that write the textbooks and all these, because these are the ones that are teaching these counselors to make these assumptions. And so but anyways, yeah, that's one thing that you need to to understand is, yeah, as infuriated as you are at these counselors, they're just doing what they were taught, and quite frankly, they're not capable of doing anything else than what they're taught. The vast majority are absolutely not open, because they worked really hard to get that master's degree. They're really proud of that, and now some 42-year-old, autistic, with a high school diploma and 1.9 GPA is trying to tell them that what they've been told is wrong. Well, yeah, that because I know some things about me that these elite educators don't know because they won't talk to us, and so, anyways, so going back to the counselors, my first counselor, okay, when I told her that I wanted to work in this, and this is another problem with constantly having a new counselor, is I kept bouncing around. I didn't stay focused on a single career path, okay, and because every time I'd have to start over with a new counselor, and so yeah, I have a new great idea next month, and it's like, okay, how does this fit into one grand plan, and that's the problem with having a different counselor every 2 to 3 months is, okay, I have this idea, this idea, this idea. Can you fit these all in? How can you fit these all in one grand plan? If you can't, okay, what is the higher priority? Because you've got to start in one direction, you've got to keep going in that one direction.
You have to have a long-term goal first.
Yeah,
and then have some steps to achieve that goal.
And so, anyways, and so by the time I got to talk to my first counselor, I told her that I wanted to work in the public schools of public school special ed departments. She told me that she had never met an autistic that wanted to work with people. She actually told me that.
And she's talking to you. Who loves to work with people.
Right, and Sue Galbach, okay, Tara Marshall, she's...
That's a really pervasive opinion.
Yeah. And we know people that work with people. Sue?
Right, Sue Galbach, Tara Marshall,
Tara is
who's a speech-language pathology assistant.
Excuse me, yeah.
Okay, and then we have this other lady at the Tempe group who's a public school teacher. And oh, by the way, at the time I was seeing her, I was a volunteer English teacher at Covenant Grace Church, okay, And so, yes, I was teaching people English, okay? I was demonstrating, and so I invited her to come and see for herself, but she didn't have time because it was after hours. Now, if I could arrange something where I could do a demonstration during business hours, but that's the whole thing, the idea that shows you just how closed-minded they are about their own personal development.
Yeah.
In giving somebody a chance to challenge your perceptions. She had the perfect opportunity to see an autistic go, and some of my students prefer me over another teacher who taught English at the community college. She's well polished. As a teacher, she was superior to me in every way. And yet some of the students actually preferred me because I know what it's like to struggle. Okay, and a lot of these students who are struggling, that they could just sense that from me, that's about me, that I just understood. I did not have a problem with having to repeat things 4 or 5 different ways until they got it. Okay, and so that's why some students actually would rather have me, somebody who struggled through school, because I know what it's like to struggle as a student over somebody who's a more polished. Other teachers prefer, that's a personal preference of the students, but they wouldn't come to give me a chance to prove, and so I said, well, how about I set up my camera and I videotape? No, we'd have to come there in person to observe it. I mean, I tried everything I could.
I think it's job security.
But
if you don't need an advocate, she's out of a job.
Well, trust me, there's plenty of people, begging for help. Trust me.
Yeah, they have huge caseloads.
They have a huge waiting list of people
to. They don't do anything to make it smaller.
The point is, you shouldn't need to. I guess things just make sense differently in my brain. I wouldn't imply that I needed to demonstrate to someone, because who cares? If I say what a job as a circus clown, oh well, if you've never met an autistic person, your job is to help me get a job as a circus clown. Mm-hmm. If you think it's stupid or whatever, okay, let me learn. Eventually, we're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be a circus clown. Not to argue with me at the, by saying my yeah, it's like that's not what their job should be anyway.
Instead, they train them to mop floors.
Yeah, well, what they want is to put you in like the lowest common denominator. Like when I first started, one of my job places was like at St. Mary's. My job plan is to do like office, like admin work. So I figured that would be the easiest job for them to find. And so they had me doing like data entry, and then I was like, I can't sit here and do data entry on it. Like I'm gonna go crazy. And they're like, okay, well, you can go up front, because I was like, I don't want to do customer service. Like I've explained this to you. And like before I wanted to leave, they wanted me to like sweep the floors. I'm like, I'm not sweeping the floors there. It's like because you can have like 10 different people there, 10 different disabilities, and have like one vendor there getting paid while she's sitting at the table. It's not individualized enough. So yeah, they probably want you to sweep floors, because they can say, okay, we have 10 different clients, 10 different disabilities, they can all sweep the floor. We can pay one person to be there watching them sweep the floors. How does that help the 10 individuals who probably didn't want to sweep the floors in the first place? Yeah. But
so, well, I'm going to get into that with my second counselor, because my second counselor was the one that set me up with the job training prep. Okay, not only do I have extensive experience, but child care experience. Oh, by the way, I was a Sunday school teacher, at Word of Grace Church back in the early to mid 90s. My senior year of high school, I volunteered an hour a day to work at Parkway Elementary, which, before Article 9 ended segregation of people with disabilities, students with disabilities, it was the school that all the children with disabilities, in Mesa Public Schools was bused to, for their schooling, and it was right across, right next to the baseball diamond at Mesa High. That's where I went to high school. Okay, I had extensive child care experience, but as an autistic ASPE support group has 3 members. An occupational therapist, now retired. Yeah, we already went through this. Okay, my second counselor. set me up with job training through a job training service. Okay, and so, and I don't know how well you can see that up there, but
Not very clear.
yeah, it's,
Does it need to be moved forward?
that's the best setting that I can have with this. But anyways, and so here, that they're talking about, community job sites, AMC theaters, smelly dogs grooming in bakery, St. Mary's food banks, and so, okay, customized job training. The purpose of community job training is to develop soft skills desired by all employers. Soft skills include reliability, problem solving, customer service, and effective communication. Okay, so the first job that they set me up with was at a bookstore, and I say bookstore because not very many people actually, have hardcover books anymore. They're going to, to tablet stuff. I know my mom has given up on the tablet and sticks with the books. But anyways, half of the inventory in these so-called bookstores have nothing to do with books. And so, but anyways, so I was sent there to basically to sort and organize, these randomly donated or traded in items, okay, and basically, it was just a really monotonous, job. I was bored out of my mind, okay, absolutely no focus, okay, and so I talked to my job coach about something else, and so she set me up with a restaurant. Okay, in which case I specifically asked to be put in a restaurant because I wanted to be a food server. Okay, I had done jobs in the past, working in restaurants. I had a good, plus I'd gone to enough restaurants. I know the basic protocols that a food server uses. They all use basically the same, protocols. And I thought that could be a good job, that I could train for and could actually turn into, possible employment, if nothing else, part-time employment, but anyways, and, but no, that all that they had was a food prep, okay, and so all I did, is spend all my time portioning up stuff, 2 ounces of cheese in every baggie and all this, stuff. And so at the end, of this, I talked to my counselor. So what did you learn? I said nothing. Oh, certainly no. I developed nothing. Okay. And so and going back to okay, developing soft skills including reliability. Okay, customer service. How?
Can you read those again?
Okay. Reliability, problem solving, customer service. Okay, how do I develop customer service if I'm hidden from the customers? Okay, and effective communication. How do I develop effective communication if I'm sat over in a corner to do a solo project that involves zero interaction with my coworkers other than to receive my instructions? And so here they're talking about, they're training these soft skills. At what point in time was I given an opportunity to develop these soft skills if I'm stuck in the back in borderline solitary confinement?
Crazy.
And so, and here's basically the neat little scam that they got going on, okay? That they hire one person, the client actually hires one person, okay, who's an actual employee, okay, and that gets them a never-ending flow of free to them labor. Okay, my salary was paid by the taxpayers via Voc-Rehab, okay? And so basically, and the same at the bookstore, there was one actual employee that came through my company that was actually working there, and that was to show, see, maybe I am extremely unproductive with my hands, okay? Watch part 4 of the video series, and I document this. Actually 3 and 4. And next month, when I go through my complete job history, it's going to be well documented that I am slow with my hands, okay? And that's the whole thing, is that they hire one actual employee. The client, the client that we're sent to hires one actual employee, and then they get a never-ending stream of free to them employees, and it's a racket. That's what it is. That they are not training autistics to do anything meaningful. Okay, that the one actual employee at that restaurant was the dishwasher. Okay, and they had one of those automatic dishwashers, and he was in solitary confinement for almost the entire time. Because
the dishwasher, I know.
Yeah,
a teenager.
Yeah, and how does he develop social skills when the only time somebody is talking to him is when he's falling behind, on his dishes, because motor skills.
Actually, most jobs you don't talk.
And
Most jobs you don't. Factories you don't talk.
it
Jobs that
it depends.
social.
Yeah, it varies from job to job. What the expectations of the employer are. But yeah, there are some jobs where the employer does not want you to talk.
Yeah.
And so.
But even if they did, that Voc-Rehab wouldn't be able to do anything. All they could do was, they don't have any, like on every level, when I try to figure out what they're doing, they don't do it. Just like one of the skills I don't know if you said reliability or timeliness, whatever. I'm late for everything. It's like there's no need for, I'll just tell anyone that. Like, I'm late, like don't expect me to I'm going to be late. For stuff I care about very deeply, I'm so late for that. Like someone can be like, show up, certain time, we'll give you a bunch of free stuff. I'll still be late. But that will also maybe be late going to lunch, be late leaving. It's like I have to find someone that cares. They're not worried about that 5 to 10 minutes. They're worried about what I accomplished during the day. VR somehow doesn't get that. So then they put me, when I was volunteering or whatever it was supposed to be at St. Mary's, then it's okay, if I'm late, then their only answer is okay, well don't do that. It's I don't understand what the point is, because I've already told you that. You're not telling me any.
Yeah, well, the thing is, punctuality is a job skill.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to, that is a job skill. There are very few jobs that gives you the flexibility to show up 10 to 15 minutes late. And so that is an important job skill. And again, it comes down to, okay, what do you need to do in order, to address, and that's something that we could talk about at another time, but that is an important job skill. So moving on to, my scorecard, okay, this is supposed to be filled out by the client every day, okay, and just listen to the terminology of these categories. Maintenance of punctuality. Commitment to attendance. They're talking like I'm a child, okay? And when you're talking about getting more people willing to give an autistic a chance, presenting them like there's some inept child, I've had employers tell me when I start, hey, I'm not running a babysitting service, and that's what this chart says. This chart says, will you babysit this person for me? Demonstrates proper attire, displays appropriate personal hygiene, understands and remembers job duty. That's not too bad. But just the terminology itself is degrading to the autistic. Okay, and presents a mindset to the employer that this is a babysitting detail. And then looking at the issues of punctuality. Okay, well, here's the thing. Like you said, this is going to be a known issue. Okay, for me, 20 years of vocational, of work as well as volunteer. Somebody barely out of high school, the teachers are going to know about how punctual. And actually, the people that are lower functioning are probably going to have the best on time the best punctuality because, other people are basically, exercising control of their life and making sure that they're punctual, okay? And so, half of this list, okay, that doesn't need to be asked, okay, because it should already be known.
Sometimes it does, though. There's
Yeah.
been times when I've seen nursing assistants come in not looking crisp and clean, shall we
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
You have to be really clean
Yeah.
to be in the medical field.
right,
So they have to go by these standards,
Yeah.
Your shoes, back in my day, I'm
Yeah.
old. They were white,
Mhm.
white orthopedic nursing shoes. They had to be nice and white and clean, and fresh new uniform every day. You can't wear it twice because you sweat the day before, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some people that didn't know, and I'd have to tell occasionally, not often.
Yeah.
I'd have to gently tell somebody, you need to have a different
Yeah.
outfit every day.
And if they,
Wash it out
yeah.
every night, same uniform, but wash it out.
And if that is a known issue, then yes, I could see it being put on the list.
Yeah.
But if I can, produce 14 witnesses, which I could produce 14 witnesses, that will tell you that if I commit to showing up at a certain place at a certain time, I'll usually be there at least 15 to 30 minutes early. Okay? And so for a lot of this stuff, it does not need to be asked. If people like my mom, the people at the school, the directors, at the English class, they can all verify I have no issues with punctuality. So why even put it in the mind of a potential employer that I might have this problem when everybody who knows me knows that
But
I don't?
everybody fills out the form, not just you.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the form should be customized to the specific things that need to well, anyways, so back to the counselors. Okay, my third counselor was completely closed-minded to the idea of using the assessment test given to me while I was still with my first counselor as a special accommodations to fulfill the requirement of an Arizona State approved paraprofessional test, okay? And what that is, to be a paraprofessional in the special ed department anywhere in the state of Arizona, you have to have either associate's degree or you need to take this paraprofessional test, okay? And I tried to take it, not a chance, okay? It literally required me to speed read for 3 hours straight, take a break,
Can't
speed read for another 3 hours straight,
Can't
because
understand what you were-
because I'm a slow reader, okay? The amount of reading that they had me do, okay, there is absolutely no way I could read that much information in the amount, no, actually it's an hour and a half. The special accommodation that they were willing to give me is to give me double time, so I'd be speed reading for 3 hours straight, okay? But and so, and so here, we have, this test, which basically tested me on my reading and my math, okay, can this be used as the accommodation instead, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, and at the time I had actually forgotten how low that I had scored because I'd actually temporarily misplaced it, and now looking at my reading scores, no, 6th grade reading level, no, that's not, so if we're going to have a test case, we need to have somebody with much better reading scores. Reading and maths, well, my math scores were 13. Calculations were 13, so I would guess that would be adequate. I would hope that would be adequate. But spelling and writing at 6th grade level, yeah, so I would not be a good test case. But the thing is, okay, if somebody did do this and scored higher in these categories, okay, they should be allowed to use this as a special accommodation. Yeah, it's because this tells the school everything that they need to know in terms of my reading and math, okay, and which is basically what the test what the paraprofessional test is, reading comprehension, and math was the three sections, and and so and I can't remember if it was her or my fourth counselor. Maybe it wasn't my fourth counselor. Well, basically didn't understand the concept of what a special accommodation was. Okay. Well, you can't simply not take the test. I'm not saying not take the test. A special accommodations mean you do this as an alternative. I'm not saying not test me. I'm saying I've already been tested and used this test score. Again, I had forgotten how well my reading was. Use these test scores instead of making me take this other test format, which I have no chance of passing. And so I can't remember if it was her or my fourth counselor that didn't grasp that concept, that a special accommodation didn't mean not being tested. It meant me taking a test that worked, a test anyways. So.
When I went to Edmonds Community College, to upgrade my nursing skills, they had, for people that had dyslexia and other difficulties in reading and understanding what they were reading, and they actually had oral tests.
And
big tests.
That's what this was.
Yeah. Oh.
This was oral.
Oh.
Okay. That's why I was.
So good.
Yes. Yeah. It was all one-on-one. So yeah, this was oral. That's why I was able to complete it. Okay. And so yeah, but the thing is, okay, yeah, the community college accepts it, uses it, but will the Mesa Public Schools accept it as a alternative, accommodation? That's the whole issue. Is the special, is whether or not this qualifies as, for the special accommodation, so. My fourth counselor, I'll be honest, I was just going through the motions, but by then waiting for her to do something that would lead me to believe that working with her would make a difference. Seriously, I expected her to quit. Okay, and she actually, stayed with me until, I shut it down I think I shut it down in June. So from December to June, she actually stayed with me for 6 months. And I was shocked. It's like, wow, I haven't gotten a letter saying, hi, I'm your new counselor. That's basically...
That's how they fire people?
Well, they quit or whatever.
They move them around or...
Yeah. Well, my first counselor moved back to Philadelphia. And so I know what happened to her, but as far as, yeah, to be honest, I can't really criticize her that much because, to be honest, okay, she was the one that couldn't understand the concept of using this as a accommodation, okay, and she actually went, I asked her to go and talk to Mason, to the state public, education department, whoever, and asked if this would be an accommodation, and I knew that she was going to come back with the answer no, because if you can't sell it to the salesperson, how do you expect them to sell it? I knew I didn't fully sell it to her, and so I knew that there's no way that she was going to sell an idea that she didn't actually buy into herself. And so but she did give me the step-by-step red tape checklist of what I needed to do to enroll in school, and here's the thing, the thing with that first counselor, that is the status quo attitudes towards as far as autistics working with children, okay, because I actually volunteered at school library at a elementary school for the purpose of demonstrating that I could be that I could do the job and, and work with, be transferred over to the disability, to do the exact same thing I did at Parkway Elementary, but as a professional instead of as a volunteer.
To get paid.
Right.
That's what annoyed me, is they used him for years as a volunteer.
Well,
the minute he wants paid.
a year.
Sorry.
Well,
But for years you worked as a volunteer.
well, basically, okay, is that, from day one, I told them what my objective was. My objective was to demonstrate, was to reinvent my work history, okay, because I had 20 years of bad work history prior to that, and then at that point, 93, so I had 4 years of unemployment, okay, and so I needed to create a new work history, just like, if you have a low GPA in high school, you take a couple of courses at a community college to establish a new GPA, okay, and so I had that idea, to create a new work history, to have these teachers that will verify, yes, this guy can work with children. I was not given that opportunity, that they would not give me that opportunity, and so here's the whole thing. So I go to school, I get 2 years of school debt, okay, and then, okay, I have this unemployment, so I can't dodge the issue that I'm autistic. Okay, because I have to give some explanation as to why I haven't worked now for 7 years. Yeah. Okay, and if if I try to hide my autism, trying to be evasive, oh, he's being invasive. And so, but if I say that I'm autistic, guess what? All these assumptions, okay, which leads to the autism leprosy dilemma. Okay. To self-disclose, self-advocate, or not to self-disclose, self-advocate, that is the question that weighs heavily on the minds of many of us autistics. There is a legitimate reason for autistics to fear discrimination if they reveal their autism to a public that has been told that it is a horrible blight. This discrimination is grounded in the fear that we might have an adverse reaction, including the possibility of meltdowns, if, one, they unknowingly make a mistake, two, anything unexpected happens to us. In order to avoid such potential problems, many deal with us like lepers. They not only keep their distance as much as possible, they also refuse to assist us in our own personal projects when we ask them for assistance, okay? And I'm a devout Christian, and I believe in God, but I've lost my faith in the church because, okay, I can't hide my autism, okay? But now that I have this official label, okay, I'm no longer given the opportunities to do the things that I used to be, including work with children. In 2007, actually going back probably like 2005, I helped out at this church with their vacation Bible school. Okay, actually I helped out on 2 occasions with their vacation Bible school. Later on, I go to this church, and I'm wanting to get back into children's ministry. And the same person who gave the green light for me to work with the children in vacation Bible school, for some reason kept forgetting to bring the application for me to be able to work in the children's ministry now that I have my label. Okay, and I don't want to go into hours of all the things, the opportunities that I used to have before I got my label, that once I have my label, like I said, I'm treated as a leper, okay? Nevertheless, the fact that there is something inherently different about us is so obvious to non-autistics that it's impossible to hide us. And if I'm working for the special ed department, I'm working under teachers who are trained to recognize autism. So how in the world am I going to hide my diagnosis from somebody who's trained to recognize it? You know, and so what is worse? We are, if we try to hide who we are, or the stigma the stigma that society has about our label. What's worse? And that's the situation, that I find myself in. And there's only one way to change this, and that's for us to come out of this closet, okay, and for the Tempe group to come out of the closet, okay, and tell society enough is enough, okay. And I have a number of plans, but somebody has to decide that they're willing to stand with me in public. This is an election year. We have candidates looking for support, candidates that would love to learn how to save $200 million a year, okay, they could be used for other purposes.
That's why I'd like a copy of that.
And in 3 months, that door is going to close. Because that's when the election is. And the door closes for 2 years. So are we going to take action or not? If we don't take action now, the door is closed for 2 years. And if we don't take action then, it's closed for another 2 years. Okay, and so...
Are you done counting?
Okay, now, I want to finish off here, okay? Concepts that the autistic community needs to borrow from the refugee community. Now, that's one of the things that I've done as a volunteer, okay, is working with refugees, and actually it's a great fit for autistics, okay? A lot of autistics, feel like they're born on the wrong planet, okay? They're aliens, okay? Well, these refugees feel like aliens in this culture that is completely foreign to them. And so, and plus they are just so grateful to anybody to help them out that, they don't mind if you act a little weird. They're just grateful that you're willing to help them, okay?
They don't even know you're acting weird.
No, they don't,
I've noticed that.
And so one, we need integration, not segregation or assimilation. Okay. Now, a lot of the refugees, okay, that they segregate, especially the older population who are stuck in their ways, and they isolate themselves. And a lot of autistics, choose this as well, and they don't develop. Okay. On the other hand, assimilation, okay, is basically when they allow every aspect of their culture to be purged from them, including positive aspects, okay, and they start acting like Americans, and they get themselves pregnant out of wedlock, and then they don't marry that. And I'm actually speaking of 2 different refugee teenagers that I work with.
Oh dear.
Okay, well, one was from a devout Christian family, and another one from a devout Muslim family.
Is she still alive?
Yeah, but yeah, and so yeah, and that's what happens. Yeah, is integration means that you learn what you need in order to to work effectively, with other people without losing your personal identity. Okay. And so, that's getting back to, when we were talking about having a system that's flexible, that's flexible enough to accommodate it, but firm enough, for us to work. So basically, parts. Okay, segregation. Oh, okay. So I kind of went through this already. Okay. You ever want to say something? No. Oh, okay. You raised your pens. Oh, okay. We need to believe in ourselves, okay? And that's one thing. Yeah, these refugees, they've had a really tough life, okay? You listen to some of their stories that they were just minding their own business. They were farmers. They were this. They were that. Then some power-hungry tyrant decided that they wanted power, and they start a civil war, and they wreck everything. Okay, that is the story of just about every refugee, that I've worked with, at least they believe in themselves. They believe that, that they can overcome their language barriers, they can overcome the culture, they can figure out how to make it work, okay? And that's what us autistics need to do. We need to be able to believe in ourselves, that we can achieve more than society, says, okay? This is extremely difficult for a group of individuals like autistics, Aspies, who have been given every reason to not believe in themselves by the very experts who are supposed to be looking to help and who they're supposed to be looking to for help in understanding. Okay, 3, the autistics and Aspies need to be working inside the system. And okay, when these refugees come over here, they're brought over by sponsoring agencies. Okay, and the caseworkers of these sponsoring agencies, almost all of them are former refugees themselves, okay, who have lived the experience, and so they understand, what needs to be done, and they can also tweak the system. Okay, part of the problem with the autistic community is we're not part of the system. Okay, we're just the poor client, that everybody needs to fix without giving us the opportunity to be part of the system. Okay, many of the cases, okay, yeah. All right, for volunteers, okay, although there are a number of good-hearted professional individuals who want to help their clients, the assembly line approach to how social services are run makes it impossible to do as much as they wish they can do. I've had, I remember this one refugee, he absolutely cursed his sponsoring agency. Oh, they didn't do nothing for me. And so he goes to work for one of the rival sponsoring agencies, and he vows he is going to give his people the service that he should have gotten. He quit in like about 2 to 3 weeks when he found out that he couldn't keep his promise. That's the whole thing, is that there are some good people there, and however, for every good-hearted caseworker, there seems to be 10. They're just there to collect a paycheck, including all of my caseworkers, or padding their resume until they get a job they really want, including my caseworkers. In fact, my third caseworker practically said, "Yep, that's basically the situation. Yeah, they're leaving for better jobs." She actually told me that. When I was expressing my frustration, so at least one of them was honest. Number 3 was at least honest with me that she was there for the money. Volunteers, on the other hand, are driven by a passion to do whatever they can to do to help. Okay, this will result in them going above and beyond what the professionals can and or are willing to do. Okay, because like I said, the professional, okay, here's the assembly line. They just got to keep, moving everybody through the assembly line. Oh, this person needs extra assistance. Sorry. Just got to keep moving everybody through
the blood vessel.
Yeah, just keep it moving, keep it moving. A volunteer, that's where the volunteer steps in. And so I always viewed myself as an ally of the sponsoring agencies, because there's no way I want to become part of them, because I know what happens when I become part of them. I'm just going to get buried. I'm going to have to, do
the assembly line.
Yeah, just do the assembly line, and I will be miserable. These refugees will start hating me as much as they hate the other caseworkers, and that's what I am. I'm an ally of the sponsoring agencies, and that's one thing that's Voc-Rehab and all these other organizations, they don't give us the opportunity to volunteer. That there is no allying with them. Okay, and so that would be a step in the right direction. Is if peer counselors is a term used, but peer models or whatever you want to call it, you know. And so, and then 5, volunteerism. Okay, volunteerism by any struggling individuals helps them by building their self-esteem. Okay, that's one of the reasons why you need to be volunteering. Okay, in something that you love to do. Okay, it is the best way to build the self-esteem of somebody struggling. And during my struggling years, my volunteer work with the refugees is the reason why I did not attempt suicide in my 30s. I did not attempt suicide on probably 2 or 3 separate occasions because of the volunteer work that I was doing with the refugees. Okay, and I did not attempt suicide in '98 because of me volunteering to do Vacation Bible School, and I actually have this thought like, well, I can't kill myself until after Vacation Bible School because I had made this commitment, and that's when I kind of came to my reality that I need to do something when I'm having this mindset. Okay, so volunteerism, definitely, you need to do something, build your self-esteem, and volunteering for people that are just grateful that you're willing to help them, that is very effective.
It's good for everybody.
Yeah. Volunteering gives them the opportunity to develop relationships with those that respect them, okay? When we're talking about developing social skills, okay? This is a safe environment to develop social skills because, again, you have somebody who's just grateful that you're willing to help them. And so yeah, this is a great social skill development opportunity, okay? C, allows them to try tasks they normally would not be given the opportunity to do, okay, which I've already mentioned previously, okay. Allows them to take safe risks, which I kind of already brought up as far as with the social skills is, again, you're dealing with people who are just grateful that you're helping them. English students, they're just grateful that you're willing to spend your time to teach them English, help them overcome self-pity. And in the big book, Bill W., the founder of AA, okay, he was a stockbroker by trade, and in 1933, okay, he went to Akron, Ohio, to do a business deal. It fell flat, and in his story, that's in the big book, he talked about how he went into a deep depression. Okay, and so what he did was he got on the phone and started calling around different churches looking for an Oxford group. That was the forerunner to AA. That's a long story, but anyways, and when he found one, he told the secretary, that he's a drunk from Brooklyn, and he's looking for an alcoholic to share with. Okay, so he wasn't looking for somebody to help him. He was looking for somebody for him to help. Now, as a recovering codependent, I also know that can be taken to the extreme where you'd rather fix everybody else rather than dealing with you. But at the same time, when
Saved his life.
yeah, at the same time, you need to realize that sitting around feeling sorry for yourself,
it's dangerous.
It leads to nothing but bad. You need to do something to snap out of that self-pity, and volunteerism is as good a way as any.
Worst thing you can do to a mind that's down, down, down. I suffered from depression for many years.
I've been treated with it for 30 years.
Yeah, and the worst thing you can do with that depression, because there's a little thing in the head saying, you're a loser, you're a loser, you're a loser, you ain't worth a crap. That's
or everything's
that's
not
what's
good.
It's always going to be this way. It's never going to get any better. That negative feedback, just you keep. That's all that's there. If you're by yourself, you cannot allow yourself in that mentality to stay by yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can lead to suicidal ideation. I know personally this.
Yeah, and it just pounds and pounds and pounds.
You get out, and he's right. I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous. It saved my life. and many, many years ago. And it's exactly what Jason said. There's the people helping people. Everybody's there for the same purpose. Everybody knew I was depressed when I walked in there. Nobody comes in the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous happy, joyous, and free.
Yeah.
They come in needing help. Nobody needs to say, is there anything I can do for you? They already know. Come sit here, you know, have some, well, I used to drink coffee. Sit down, let's have a meeting. After the meeting, let's go for coffee, some pie, whatever. And right away, there's people. Immediately, you have friends. And that's what the basis of charity work. I call it charity now. I'm real active in church. If I'm reaching out, helping others, I don't have time to hear any voices except gratitude. I am so grateful I have whatever it is I have now. And I don't have any voices in my head saying, you're a loser, you ain't worth nothing. And those voices have been gone for many, many years. Thank you. Yeah.
You had mentioned before job coaches. Was that part something you didn't get to?
Oh,
or was that
okay,
part of
yeah. The job coaches are the people that I was referred to.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, and so you know, when I'm talking about, you know, what we need to do is start our own sub business. You know, where we would be referred, where autistics could be referred to us for job coaching. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, that's you know, where that all fits in.
So your dream is to do like a advocacy group for.
That would be awesome.
Right. Okay, and well, coming on to point number 6, we need to have our own officially recognized organizations that are run by us, for us, that specializes in helping us in areas we want help in. And these refugees, have set up, you know, the Lost Boys Association. Used to be down on 19th Avenue, Van Buren, for the Sudanese. Yeah. The Somali Association of Arizona years ago was on 36th Street in McDowell. Okay, all these different communities. Okay, yeah, that they got as much help, you know, from the official organizations as they could, and then they just started fending for themselves. Okay, and that's what we need to do. We need to,
that's a good idea.
Is fend for ourselves, figure out how to fend for ourselves as much as we can. Okay, yeah, take the help that we can get from the professionals, you know, when we can. But if you can't get help from the professionals, don't just curl up in a ball and throw your life away.
Life's
you know,
too short.
take matters into your own hands and do something
worthwhile.
Right. You know, and so you know, so that's, you know, what we need is, you know, like I said, our own official organization, for job coaching. Something I forgot to bring up is, you know, after I got this job training, and so I got 80 hours of pay over 6-8 weeks, something like that. But but then still the paid training ended. Okay, and so I declared it, you know, to SSDI and Access. Want to be a good boy, follow all the rules. Okay, and basically, Access could not grasp the concept that I was no longer drawing income. Okay, by this time, it was March of this last year. The last paycheck I drew from this training was at the end of October of last year. Okay, so when it comes to, okay, what is my income over the past year, that doesn't count. But for some, well, were you fired? Like, no, it was a training program, and he couldn't comprehend. Well,
to an end.
Are you on unemployment? You don't get unemployment when you're only working 15 hours a week.
That's right.
You know, and they couldn't grasp the system. Okay, so one of the things that we need is to make sure that we understand the system, just like I did with the refugees. Okay, so when somebody gets on this program, I know exactly what they need to do. And as far as the system, we definitely need to talk to the heads of Voc-Rehab, get the head of Voc-Rehab and the head of Access. Yeah, that's Medicaid, Arizona State Medicaid. Get together and have them. I literally lost my insurance. Because that's the only way. Well, it was to let my insurance expire and then reapply. And it didn't actually impact me because as soon as I got the letter saying, that I was being dropped due to lack of compliance. No, it wasn't lack of compliance. It was lack of your inability to understand this other system that is foreign to you. And so so when I'm talking about these organizations, that these are multi-purpose organizations, to help autistics in any way, that we can, including I'm aware of the time, and understands, what they need to do and what they need to say, because basically I had to cancel, any further services, from the company that I was getting job training, because I might have been able to still get other services. But I sacrificed that in order to keep my job training. Now, if I could have explained it to a way to where he understands I'm no longer drawing income, maybe I could have gotten some additional services from, and I'm not going to mention the name of the company that I was subcontracted out to, but I might have gotten some additional services, but I had to sacrifice that to save my insurance.
It's because they don't have that like as a check point, so what you're doing doesn't really fit in with anything. That's
right.
That's VR's problem, because all they needed was like for the vendor to acknowledge that you don't work there, and they could have, when I had my interview, they could have did that over the phone, but they're like, no, it's an employee. So then I had to like go through a bunch of hoops just to get a letter from them, just tell Access I'm not working. Like, even though I hadn't worked there in like months and it was only like for a certain amount of hours, all they needed was like a letter, because Access, they don't have, like, there's nothing they can check, so it's like, okay, if you're not working, like, there's nothing on there that says, like, training.
It must be
and that's their problem.
Unemployment.
And that is Access's problem, because they should have that check, okay? That they should be fully up to date on all the programs that they're going to encounter and be able to, to address those with their clients. That is on Access for not updating their computer program.
I think that's VR. VR has a counselor. They know most of the people are getting benefits. That's going to VR. I'm not. I mean, I get Access. I don't get Social Security. If you're signing up for someone or something where you're getting income, you need to be able to tell people how to, like, you sign up for it and then like what to do when you're getting out so you won't lose your benefits. Like, my counselor didn't even realize that I was getting paid from that. She's like, oh, it's just a stipend. And it's like, well, if you had told me to tell them stipend like months ago, like, I wouldn't have known. Like, all I know is I have income. I'm supposed to tell these people. So I tell them, they interpret that as something completely different.
So maybe you didn't even have to declare it.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, you don't, and I think that's what the,
I think
other person was like,
just right there.
Yeah,
It's a
I think
stipend, that's like a...
But I'm like, if she had just told me, like, say stipend, she knew I was getting Access. So just say, call it stipend. Because like me, it's like, I'm assuming it's income. Like,
well, okay, well, I can see your point there. Okay, that Access should have explained, but at the same time, at what point does Access, go to, Voc-Rehab? When do they get together and get on the same page? At some point in time, it's equal. Both of them are not taking the time, to understand the other. Access isn't understanding the information that we need to give to Access. Voc-Rehab isn't taking time to understand the information that we need to give to Access, and Access doesn't understand, what the program is, and so it's on both sides. At some point in time,
because the Access manual is so huge. I mean, there's every situation you could have. No, I don't trust the people who are answering the phone. I look at the manual myself, and even when I was doing AmeriCorps, I can't depend on the person that I'm talking to know what the heck AmeriCorps is, and they shouldn't be counted as income. But AmeriCorps gives you like a standardized letter. They're like, okay, we know you guys are going to qualify for food stamps and Access, so take it like it's already provided, because people, the people who are like getting or doing your Access application, they may have had like 3 months I would think will be extreme for all the different like press this and all the different combinations of access. You can't necessarily. It's unfortunate, but you can't really depend on, because otherwise you might end up qualifying for something because they don't know. They say, okay, you don't qualify. When
so bottom line is, a third party needs to come in and get access and Voc-Rehab to talk to each other and explain, what both sides need, and that's one of the things that we need to do. We need to be that third party, that it goes and say, okay, and then when Autistics refer to us, okay, we're going to go, like I said, just like with the refugees, I understood the system. I understood every program that was designed to help them and what they needed to do. Okay, we need to do that for the autistic community. Okay, we cannot count on these bureaucracies to talk to each other, okay, and get coordinated. We need to make the effort to figure this out and make sure that we disseminate this information, that Voc-Rehab and Access aren't disseminating to each other. This actually isn't even the first time that I've come across two bureaucracies having problems with this. Anyways, it's getting time to wrap up. But yeah, that's a good point to end on as far as what we're needing to do. And like I said, we need to have ongoing dialogue about these issues. Just coming here once a month, that's not going to change anything. We need to get together and go out to the community and talk to the people that have the expertise necessary to help us to create the organization. Okay, because nobody's going to help me unless they see other people standing with me. Okay, and so that is what needs to be done. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this.
All right, this is Jason again, and basically I realized after I had finished the presentation that I had left out several points that I meant to bring up, and so anyways, the first three are pretty quick. When I was talking about my boss filling out these evaluations, these daily evaluations, well, the reality is that she would fill them out once a week, and I worked 3 days. She didn't work 2 of those 3 days. Okay, so how can she evaluate me for how I performed when she wasn't there to observe me? And even when she was there, either her or the assistant manager, who would be in charge on the days off, well, the manager of a restaurant is basically a circus conductor, and they don't have time to be sitting around in back, with the food prep guy, observing, their job performance. Okay, they got to be conducting their circus, and so, my boss had absolutely no basis to form any kind of assessment on. So I could definitely say, for me, these assessments that, job evaluations that my boss did were absolutely worthless. They were based on nothing, and quite frankly, I think I would probably even use the term fraudulent, because the fact she had no basis to do any kind of an assessment on me whatsoever. Okay, and I was talking about, also, this little scam that they have. Okay, they hire, one employee, and then they get an endless stream of free labor. Well, that's got to stop. Okay, what we need to do is to expand, the options as far as, what kind of companies would hire us or provide this job training. And I'm not just talking about, these menial jobs. I'm talking about jobs that could actually lead to quality employment, and teach them an actual job skill or job trade that they could actually take to another employer, if they don't get hired on there, working in a repair shop for those autistics who have that kind of aptitude, and there's just so many other higher quality jobs, that would pay, 2 to 3 times more than these menial labor jobs. Why not approach those employers about, about getting into these job, providing this job training program, and to do that, like I said earlier, about, these, how the assessment sheet and how we're presented to the employers. If we're presented to them like we're a babysitting detail, no, these companies do not have time to waste, with us. I've actually had employers tell me, I'm not here to babysit you. I think I brought that up in the main video, but we need to show them that working with us is not a babysitting detail, okay? And so we have to change the entire way we present autism to them, all right? And then third, I brought up, Bill W.'s, trip to Akron. It all went wrong, and so he called around, looking for a alcoholic to help out instead of feeling sorry for himself. Well, that alcoholic was none other than Dr. Bob. Okay, and for those who know AA history, him and Dr. Bob were the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the very first Alcoholics Anonymous chapter was founded in Akron, Ohio. Okay, and so when you're talking about, okay, what you might be able to do if you're not feeling sorry for yourself, and you actually look outside yourself, realize that you're not the only one that's suffering, and that's another, aspect of, of self-pity is, we get this idea that we're the only ones, that are suffering, and no, there are other people out there suffering, and in coming to this realization, that you're not the only one, suffering, it is eye-opening. But anyway, so yeah, that's very important to bring up. Bill W.'s decision not to feel sorry for himself wound up making him one of the most influential human beings in the history of mankind. His choice has benefited people for nearly 100 years now. Okay, and so yes, there is definitely a benefit to not feeling sorry for yourself. And then when I was bringing up, that these refugees had started their own organizations, basically fending for themselves, and it's not just with these organizations, but just simply neighbor helping neighbor, and trying to figure out, how to help one another, and so. Yeah, and this is a mentality that's completely foreign to the autistic community, that, we're completely dependent upon second and third party intervention. We can't do anything for ourselves, okay? And this is completely erroneous. We need to get out of this mentality that we need everybody else to fix our problems, all right? And then lastly, how does Voc-Rehab define success? Because, when I, get into these disputes with the job coaches, the Voc-Rehab counselors, all these people, they have their master's degree, and I'm trying to explain to them that, there are things that, the book doesn't explain, and they're like, oh, but I also have all this experience, I've had all this success. Well, how do you define success? Okay, based on my observations, I would conclude that, that they probably get one out of maybe 2 to 3 dozen employees a permanent menial labor job, okay, such as dishwashing, okay, and even then, that dishwasher, like I said, he's constantly, being, told, he needs to work faster, so obviously he was not doing he wasn't really doing satisfactory work, and so eventually somebody like that could finally have enough of it and quit that job, and then what is this guy going to do when he hasn't been given any meaningful job training? And so, is that how you define success? We, spend, hundreds and thousands of dollars per client, and out of those hundreds and thousands of dollars, times, 2 to 3 dozen, you get one employee an actual job, and he may not even last in that job very long because you just got him any job, and and you basically, in correlation with this little scam you got going on there with the employer, okay, is that how you define success? I don't define success like that. I believe that us autistics are far more capable, many of us are far more capable of doing a lot greater things, and I firmly believe, if we were one of, we started a company that did the job training, okay, and we were approaching higher caliber employers, okay, and getting them real job training into a vocation that's that can provide them a good livelihood, 2 to 3 times more pay than these menial jobs that our competitors would be signing up for. I definitely believe that we would be a much better use of taxpayers' money than Voc-Rehab, which I honestly believe their success rate is probably 1 out of every 2 to 3 dozen, getting a menial job, and I really believe that. And if that's not the case, Voc-Rehab needs to produce the records that shows what their actual success rate is. Just giving them a bunch of money and just say, oh, do the best you can, because we know that these poor, pathetic autistics, they are just so hopeless, and, so we have no expectations. No, you should have expectations. You should demand to see what their actual success rate is, and then give autistics like me a chance to prove that it can be done better by people who actually understand what's going on and actually believe that we're capable of doing more than these menial labor garbage jobs that they want to train us for. Okay, and so anyways, so yeah, that's it for this amendment to the video, and so I will be signing off now. Thank you.